This is KARK4 News at 4.
Wednesday, Joe Biden will take the oath of office on the steps of the U.S. Capitol. Good afternoon. I'm Mallory Brooks. Thanks for joining us at 4 p.m. His inauguration comes amid threats of more violence. Anna Warnicki reports the FBI is vetting National Guard troops to avoid any attacks coming from the inside.
Washington, D.C. looks a lot different today. Most of the city is shut down, and today law enforcement officials warn of new threats ahead of Wednesday, but this time from the inside. Security is ramping up in Washington. Roads are blocked, businesses boarded up, and the National Mall shut down.
We're prepared to do what we need to do.
First Lieutenant Richard Eidler says 25,000 National Guard troops will be in place on Inauguration Day to help with growing concerns of more violence and armed protests.
We'll need to take those credible threats seriously. We have actionable intel, as always, and the National Guard is reviewing that.
Army Secretary Ryan McCarthy says they're also looking at any threats from the inside. He says the FBI is vetting every soldier coming to Washington.
We're continually going through the process and taking second, third looks at every one of the individuals assigned to this operation.
But despite the increased threats, Biden's team says the ceremony will go forward as planned on Wednesday.
I am very much looking forward to be sworn in as the next vice president.
Our plan and our expectation is that President-elect Biden will put his hand on the Bible with his family outside on the west side of the Capitol.
Incoming White House Communications Director Kate Bedingfield told ABC's This Week that starting Monday, the president-elect's team will meet each day with top law enforcement officials to prepare for any additional threats. Wednesday's events will be live streamed, so the Biden team is anticipating a much smaller crowd. But even without the spectators, this year's inauguration will have the largest security presence of any inauguration in U.S. history. In Washington, I'm Anna Warnicki. Back to you.
And Peter Stager, an Arkansas man accused of participating in the riots at the U.S. Capitol, will have his first court appearance virtually tomorrow. His arraignment is set for 3 in the afternoon. He's expected to face charges of obstructing a federal officer, civil disorder, and other crimes. Another Arkansas man accused of taking part in those riots could be heading back to the nation's capital soon. Mitch McCoy joins us in studio to talk about the latest on what's happening in the investigation into Richard Barnett. Mitch.
Hey, happy Monday to you, Mallory. Good afternoon, everyone. A federal judge decided that Richard Barnett be taken back to Washington, D.C. immediately after staying a decision from another judge that would have confined him to his home in Gravette until his trial. On Friday, his bond was set at $5,000 and was ordered to wear a GPS monitor to track his location. A Department of Justice attorney said that a few days before Barnett went to D.C., he went to a Bass Pro Shop and bought walkie-talkies, mace, and a stun gun. Defense attorney Anthony Siono called a series of witnesses who know Barnett personally. Each of the witnesses said Barnett is an honest man. The U.S. government tried to argue that Barnett's character had changed in recent days leading up to the riot. The 60-year-old is charged with unlawfully entering a restricted area with a weapon, which was that stun gun. Barnett is also charged with disorderly conduct and theft of public property. He faces up to 11.5 years in prison if he's convicted. Barnett has a court appearance set for March 1st in Washington, D.C. Mallory.
Mitch, thank you. A Pennsylvania woman is under investigation for allegedly stealing a computer belonging to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. The FBI's cybercrime department says a former romantic partner of 22-year-old Riley Williams contacted the bureau to tell them Williams had stolen Pelosi's laptop and intended to sell the device to Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service. She's charged with disorderly conduct with the intent to disturb a session of Congress, among other charges. The FBI is looking for 7 men suspected of assaulting a D.C. police officer. Photos show the men in crowds during the riot at the U.S. Capitol. Officer Mike Fanone said he was struck with a taser multiple times and beaten with a flag on January 6th. He's now recovering from a mild heart attack. The nation's capital is also preparing for the second impeachment trial of President Donald Trump. Washington correspondent Trevor Shirley has the latest on when that trial could start and who will be on the current president's defense team.
When the impeachment trial actually begins really comes down to when Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi decides to send that single article of impeachment from the House over to the Senate, which then starts the trial process. At this point, it's not clear when that will happen, but keep in mind Democrats gain control of the Senate on Wednesday. That's when Chuck Schumer also becomes Senate Majority Leader. There's a possibility the article of impeachment could be sent to the Senate either tomorrow or Wednesday, but the question is then whether Democrats want to do that and potentially overshadow the big news of Wednesday, which will be Joe Biden becoming president. In terms of the president's defense team, this weekend Rudy Giuliani suggested to ABC News that he would be a part of the president's defense, but at this point he says that's not going to happen because he could potentially be called as a witness. Beyond that, attorney Alan Dershowitz said last week he'd be open to being part of the defense team, but then later told the Boston Herald he would not be a part of that effort. And according to a CNN report today, President Trump is considering as many as 100 pardons or commutations to be issued in the final 48 hours of his presidency before his term ends on Wednesday at noon. Reporting in Washington, I'm Trevor Shirley.
Governor Asa Hutchinson is kicking off the start of Phase 1B for COVID vaccines in Arkansas today by rolling up his sleeve and getting his own shot. The governor and state health leaders hoping to move into the next tier of the vaccination rollout means more people will get protected from COVID sooner. Our Jay Burr is live with more on the state's new plan. Jay.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mallory. With Governor Asa Hutchinson moving into Tier 1B for the COVID vaccine rollout, he does open up a whole lot more demand for that vaccine. We're actually here at the Kavanaugh Pharmacy Clinic, which is actually separate from what their pharmacy is because, again, there's just so much demand for that vaccine. Now, the problem with that is the state is not receiving a whole lot more supply of that vaccine. Scott Pace with Kavanaugh Pharmacy tells me the state is only getting approximately 37,000 initial doses for this week, and that will leave some pharmacies without any supply at all this week. He says the plan that is in place in Arkansas is a good plan, but the level of supply is where things are getting thrown for a loop because the state is trying to equitably distribute the vaccine amongst all 75 of Arkansas's counties. But this is still an evolving process for everyone.
This is a whole new logistical challenge for everybody. So I think we're all learning from week to week how to make a process better. Everybody's jumping into this with good intentions, and we're learning how to make it better week to week.
Now, Pace also says most of the issues the state is seeing is simple supply and demand, but also it's just the logistics of handling this type of vaccine and the special precautions that must be taken with the ultra-cold storage and handling, because once that Pfizer vaccine is taken out of storage, that timer starts ticking on when that vaccine must be used. But as you can see here, let me actually step out of the way here for you. They've got their clinic going on today here, but he says all of the vaccine allocation has been taken up for the whole week, so they're not actually accepting any more appointments for the week. But Pace also says many pharmacies have begun announcing what their allotment will be on Fridays so that they can have a better idea of what they can handle in the next week. And actually, Governor Asa Hutchinson just stepped in here just moments before we went on the air, and he was actually watching the process as it unfolded here. He says he really likes the way a lot of the pharmacies have started to do that, where they will announce how much supply they're going to have. They will make those appointments very rigid. That way there's not these long lines or anything like that. So, again, it's still just sort of been a work in progress, but a lot of the pharmacies in the state starting to kind of figure this thing out. But for now, live in Little Rock, Jay Burr, KRK 4 News.
Jay, thank you. If you're looking to schedule your shot this week, there are many ways you can do that, beginning with Baptist Health in Little Rock, which started administering the vaccine to teachers today. The hospital system plans to schedule the 70-plus age group at a later date. North Little Rock locations may start vaccinating soon as well. A spokesperson says an appointment is needed in order to get that shot. UAMS will start its rollout tomorrow, January 19th. You can call and make an appointment. The COVID vaccine clinic will be open from 9 to 4 Monday through Friday. For those 70 and older, you'll need a photo ID with your birthday to prove you are eligible for the vaccine. School ID badges are required for everyone else. CHI St. Vincent will be giving vaccinations for teachers and those over 70 starting today. Those interested will have to register online at chistvincent.com/getmyshot. You will need to wait to be contacted about scheduling your vaccination. The Arkansas Pharmacists Association also has an online listing available to show you where and how to sign up for the vaccine. Go to KARK.com to find that.
There will be enough vaccine for everyone. But right now, we must work together as one global family.
The head of the World Health Organization says it's, quote, not right that younger, healthier adults in rich countries get vaccinated against COVID-19 before older people in poorer countries. The Director General of the WHO says 25 vaccine doses have been provided to a single poor country, while over 39 million have been administered in nearly 50 richer nations. He says it should not become another wall of inequality between the haves and have-nots.
Only does this me-first approach leave the world's poorest and most vulnerable people at risk, it's also self-defeating.
There are only 2 COVID vaccines authorized in the U.S. right now, Moderna's and Pfizer's. There are 3 other companies that have vaccines in clinical trials right now. Still ahead, as the state pushes for more people to get vaccinated, why survivors of COVID may not be able to donate plasma if they get their shot.